Welcome to Tank Out. I'm Steve Fall. I am here celebrating in a wonderful book. And of course, you're here at WrestleCon because of Scott Wilder Promotions. How are you doing today? And how is this WrestleCon going for you? Because are you licking people? Is that still allowed?
Whoa, g'day mateys. WWE and Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer here, Bushwhacker Luke. And I'm really enjoying WrestleCon 2023 right here in Los Angeles.
Oh, man.
And it's been a great crowd. The fans have been great from all over the world, even from my home country, New Zealand, and a lot of Australians, people from the Far East, Japan and Asia, and of course, a lot of people from UK. It's been a great turnout, and I've been sitting here, and all my mates from the past, Cactus, Mick Foley's been right beside me, Diamond Dallas Page, who I helped at the start of his career, and Mickey James over there, the Boogeyman down there. It's Devon Dudley from the Dudleys is over there. Guys I hadn't seen for a long time, but it's been great meeting old friends here. And of course, I've been with Honky Tonk for the last few days. We go right back to the 70s.
And how does that feel seeing all your old friends? Because again, before when you were traveling the roads, obviously you see each other all day, every day. Yeah. Now you don't see each other very often, do you?
I know. I see Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Ted DiBiase, $1 Million Man, and Hacksaw. Hacksaw. I said, and the $1 Million Man a lot, and Jake. We were all at a lot of conventions every weekend.
Oh, good.
But these big shows like this, I see people that I haven't seen for 20, 30 years.
Wow.
And it's great, right? Well, there's not many people from the 60s left going. And I started in 1962. So, but it's great to see everybody, and the turning out for fans. And I hear WrestleMania 1, the first night, was a boomer.
Huge.
And the matches were great. I didn't see a bad report about any match.
Now, how do you go from being, the sheep herders to the bushwhackers? Because obviously, there you are, mangling people to licking children.
Well, that was easy, mate. We'd been around long enough to know this is a professional business, and we turned when we realized merchandise. NWA, National Wrestling Alliance, you're known as a wrestler. But when going into WWF at that time, you became a celebrity. And Vince put us in a lot of different shows, like television shows, not to do with wrestling. Family Matters, Personality Squares, Regis Philbin and Kathy, whatever her name was. Anyhow, we were in a different way of life, and Sportsman of the Year dinners and Toys R Us. Of course, we did a lot of places around the country for Toys R Us and that, so we were in a complete different audience at that time. And that, of course, too, and of course there was WWE big in merchandise, so we were making a little extra cash from the merchandise.
Just a little bit? Yeah, I bet a lot of it.
That was a big part.
I bet. And now you're a Hall of Famer. How does that feel? Because so many people love you, adore you, and you are a WWE Hall of Famer. And to a lot of people, that is just solidifying you as one of the greatest of tag teams of all time.
Yeah, and plus we're a Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer, which was picked from the NWAs, from going back to the past champions of the NWA, and that's when we were the sheep herders. But it's great to have that been known as a WWE. That's the big one, you know what I mean, throughout the world. And of course, if it wasn't for WWE, not only me, but I'm talking on behalf of a lot of guys, we wouldn't be doing these Comic Cons and fan fairs around the country or around the world. WWE is everywhere, even in New Zealand, Australia, Singapore, Bangkok, Philippines, even down to the bottom of South America. WWE is there, and if it wasn't for that and that television Peacock,
and
that none of us would be here today.
It's true. And now New Zealand, I interviewed WWE superstar the other day, Dakota Kai, and she's from New Zealand. And I asked her because the W's going to Jeddah, London, Detroit, and I asked where does she want to see another pay-per-view. She said New Zealand.
Yeah. Now Dakota Kai, I know by another name.
Yeah.
But I was down on a tour in 2012 when she, I think maybe the second year in the business, and her third year in the business. But she's a great hand, and she put a lot of time into it. But look where she is today.
Right.
And too, there's another blonde-headed Tony
Storm.
Tony Storm. She goes in Australian, but I think she's a Kiwi. But she wants to have that kangaroo instead of the Kiwi bird.
I think so. Now let's talk about your book because everyone loves professional wrestling. Everyone wants to hear road stories. Now we don't want to give away all the stories inside the book because you wouldn't want you to buy it, obviously. But yet, what is inside that book that we haven't heard in the rest of the world?
Drugs, sex, rock and roll.
Ooh.
And that's 365 pages in this book, and it starts off, the first paragraph is pretty straight, but it tells you the roots of wrestling in New Zealand from the 1920s, the 1920s up to, and then it kicks in 1962 when I started, and then Butch and me tagged up in 65, and that's when you start getting the meat.
Yeah.
The start's potatoes, but then you get to the meat and the stories start. I'm just going to give you a little cue. When we first started, we were starting to go to over to the Asia, and that now it's called Malaysia now, but it was called Malaya and Asia, and before it became independent, and there was a war going on in the 60s to become independence, and Butch and me used to drive up from Singapore across to Jakarta, then up Malaya and Asia, and they were fighting, and we could hear the machine guns in the background.
Wow.
There's a curfew at 5 o'clock. We're supposed to be off the roads, but we didn't care. We drove up there through there, and then it was wild. So that's the start of the book, and that.
Oh my God! Gunfire, and curfews, and sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah. When I mention Bangkok, it's all about that.
Now, obviously, when the pandemic happened, I don't know why, but I thought of you instantly because you were licking fans. And then suddenly, pandemic happens, and everyone's worried about spit and all this stuff.
Well, mate, if you get a close look, when I grab the guy's head, I always lick the back of my hand, but I don't know whether Butch did. I think he may have licked a few faces. Anyhow, it was great to be here today for Scott Wilder Promotion in LA for the Wrestlecon, and to talk to you and being on your network.
Thank you.
I'm very happy to be.
I appreciate it. I appreciate Scott Wilder Promotions. I appreciate your book. I appreciate you. I appreciate Wrestlecon. We're having a great time here. Thank you so much for being here. I've been Steve Fall, and have a great day.